I need you guys to knit these patterns because there's not enough hours in the day for me to knit them all. Hi, I'm Laurel. I'm also known as West Maven on Instagram, Ravelry, and here. In today's video, we're going to talk about spring tops. I have 5 spring tops. They're totally different. I know you've never seen them this way before, and they're size inclusive. I'm going to share with you the inspiration for the pattern choice, as well as the colors I would use, down to the specific yarn I would use, and I want you guys to take these and run with them. So let's go. Before we get into the patterns, OSEA sent me this Firm and Hydrate Body Trio set, and I was super excited because I've already used their Dream Bioretinol Body Serum for a while now. It's one of those things that I just grab without even thinking about it. It's a bedtime serum powered by bioretinol and red seaweed, and it just does the thing. It firms, smooths, and the lavender in it genuinely helps me wind down after a long day of filming or editing or knitting or just being a person. The set also comes with their hyaluronic body serum, which I hadn't tried until today, and I was super excited to try it because it's clinically shown to boost hydration by 161% after just one single use, which is super insane. But I can tell you right now, it completely works. I put some all over my arms and on this hand, but I left this one out. And let me tell you, just the feeling, I wanna stop filming right away and go put some on. These sets are 33% off right now, which is the best way to save on OSEA because they don't typically discount their products. Plus, you can use my code, WestMaven10, for an additional 10% off. The link is in the description. Like I said, sets are limited edition, so they will sell out. Also, if you're wanting to purchase this for Mother's Day, you need to place your order before April 29th in order to get it on time. Okay, spring tops. Let's go. Okay, so our first pattern, I'm so excited to talk about. So this is our inspo photo. It is a beige cabled sweater that is encrusted in bugs. We've got dragonflies, we have beetles, we even have, it looks like a lobster. So just anything you feel like on there. But I really thought it was super fun. So what I was thinking we could do, taking that as our inspiration, there's this pattern called the Emma Vest. This is by Mochiknits. It even has pockets. I could die. It has really just very classic lines. I love the shoulder detail. I just think it's a very classic, beautiful styled vest. And what we can do is we can take the Wildflower Moth pattern by Kylie Olivia and make 1, 2 if you're feeling fancy, and make them as brooches and add them to this vest. So you're taking kind of a basic, very beautifully made, very gorgeous shape and making it absolutely your own with this kind of trend. And if moths are not your thing or bugs are not your thing, then I did also find this pattern called Cherries by Amanda Berry, which I love, that's her last name, and you can put that on your sweater as well. So what I'm thinking as far as yarns and colors is I would go with a darker base so that your bugs or bug or cherries will pop off this. So I was thinking I would knit it, if I would cast it on today, in a La Bien-Aimée Winterfell color. And I really think that it would just be such a beautiful canvas for this vest. One other thing I forgot to mention is all these patterns I'm going to mention a maybe more luxurious option of yarn and then maybe a little bit more affordable. So our affordable option here is the Knitting for Olive No Waste Wool. It's a sustainable wool that is, I believe, 50% recycled wool and then 50% in extra fine merino. It's really nice. I've knit with it before. I absolutely love it. And I would go with a color slate green here. So these are my options. And then what I'm thinking is when you go to make this little cute moth or cherries or whatever you're gonna do, I would use scraps, because if you go into your leftover bits and bobs, it's going to be your color palette and it's going to like speak to your color sense. So I think this is just a perfect way to share that. So that's option 1. Our pattern 2 is going to be, so go with me on this one. I really loved this inspiration because I really like the idea of something super cabled and then going over it in a multicolor or even single color yarn and kind of embroidering over the cables. I really love this detail. You could also double knit the cable lines so they even pop out more, but I really love this idea. And so when I saw the pattern, the Deborah vest by Avaia Knitwear, I thought it would be perfect. This one is a brand new pattern. There's not really that many projects on Ravelry yet, but I really thought it was such a fantastic vest. This is knit from the bottom up, and once you knit it, you can then go back through, and again, like we were just talking about the scraps, you can pick some of the scraps that really speak to you and add them to this vest. It's gonna make it so unique. No one else is gonna have one like it. And I really, really love this idea. I've also seen a couple of people take the cables and in the diamond areas of different cables, do beading in those diamonds, which I think would be super cool. And you could do that after the fact if you wanted. So here's what I'm thinking for our little bit fancier yarn choice. Because this is a heavy worsted weight pattern, I would go cotton here so that you can wear more throughout the year. So I would actually suggest Illimani Sabri 2 and in the colorway 29, which is the medium gray color. I think this would be a great background. It's going to knit up beautifully. I use this yarn all the time. It is one of my favorite warmer weather yarns. And then the kind of less expensive yarn option would be Loops and Threads Classic Cotton in the colorway Pewter. I think this one also would look so nice as a canvas to add those pops of color throughout those cables. And let's go on to our third pattern. So our third inspiration is graphic embroidery from the Max Mara Resort Collection 2025. So I saw this picture and thought it was absolutely stunning. It kind of reminds me of tattoos. I really love the big embroidery across it. And if you look even closely, there's even like strings kind of hanging, which is less tidy. So if that's not your vibe, then definitely don't do that. But I just thought it was kind of fun. So the pattern that kind of reminded me of this, but of course is its own, is the Ripley. This is by Océane LM. And this is a top-down sweater. It has a beautiful embroidered embellishment over the shoulder. And it just reminds me kind of a tattoo. And how I would knit this, I would think of how I want it to look. So if you are thinking that you want to do something darker, then I would definitely do a brighter color for this kind of tattoo on the sweater, or I would do something that's going to be a high contrast so you can really appreciate all of the work that's gone into this. I also like that you don't necessarily have to like make that call right away, because you are going to knit the sweater and then block it and then add the embroidery. So you have plenty of time to kind of figure out what the best way to do this is. The other thing is, let's say you had a sweater already. This is the Cumulus V-neck by Petite Knit. You could purchase the Ripley pattern and just use the embroidery bits and do it across and make it, again, something of your own. I just think it's a really cool design. I have seen a lot of the testers. I wanted to know how the embroidery was going to look, across various people making it, and it looks fantastic. So definitely something to consider. The colors that I would choose here would be Madeline Tosh in Tosh Pebble as the kind of fancier version, in the colorway Dirty Panther. And then I think I would do a brighter color. So maybe not white, but maybe I would go for a cobalt blue or a teal color for that design. The kind of mid-range is going to be Knitting for Olive and Deep Petroleum. I think this would again be really pretty. I think it could be cool with a neon green if you were wanting something very bright and bold. And then the less expensive option would be Haiku Kobusi, and this is a cotton bamboo silk blend yarn, and I think I would go either black or their really red would be really cool. If you did the really red, you could do a bright red or a black embroidery and then kind of reverse it. If you did like the black, you could do a cool red embroidery. I think it'd be really fun. So those are my ideas for that particular pattern. Okay, up next, this is the inspiration photo for our next one. This is very exaggerated fringe. And I wanted to show you this because this is like the maximalist approach to this design. Once we talk about the pattern in just a moment, I will explain kind of my thoughts there. But I really liked like the idea of like a big fringe. So this was my inspiration photo. Our pattern today is the High Time Tank. This is by Kimberleigh S. And there is in fact a second pattern that she has made called the High Time Top, and it has sleeves. So if you are not a tank top kind of girly, then definitely check out the other pattern. I really love the fringe here. It's so fun and flirty. You can make the fringe a completely different color on the sweater, or you can make a one color top. I think both look really nice. I think they both have very different vibes. So if you want something a little bit more whimsical, I would go with the two colors. If you're thinking something a little bit more classic, a little more grounded, then I would just do one color. When I was looking at yarns here, she knit this, I believe, in the Farmer Daughters fiber yarn called Foxy Lady. And I would use the Legend if I was just going to do one color. I would just go for the black sleek with a little bit of movement fringe, like for a more subdued. Or I would use the Legend and then choose either my pocket or the Paul Newman for the fringe, which I think would be really super fun as well. If you are looking for a slightly less expensive option, there is the Knitting for Olive in the silk, pure silk yarn in either dove blue or soft blue. I thought those are really fun. And again, I would do maybe the dove blue with a soft blue fringe. And then for the least expensive option, we're gonna again use the Haiku Kobasi or Kobasai and either do a black with a Cabernet or a Cabernet with a black fringe. I think would be really fun. And here I'm thinking it's really important that you do pick a silk blend yarn when you're kind of considering making this, because you're really wanting that fringe to be very drapey and flowy. And I do think that you could add more fringe if you wanted a fuller fringe look. Again, I would check the pattern for that, but that would be maybe something I would consider as maybe a little bit more fringe. More is more, right? Okay. And let's talk about our very last pattern, our very last inspiration photos. I wanted to share 3 because I thought that this particular top could look super different, and I really wanted to kind of emphasize the differences. So one way to do it is by going a monochrome option. Another way would be to do just lots of colors, or again, pick a color palette. So our pattern today is the Cleome. This is by the Berroco design team. It is a free pattern, and I thought it was really cool. This is an intarsia top, so if you're unfamiliar with intarsia, you are going to knit this flat and then seam it together, which is truly not a big deal, but it is something just to know. The other thing about this is they used a color changing yarn that has been discontinued. So I went looking for a couple of different options for us, and you could do a color changing yarn. You could also just do a color palette, kind of like some of the examples that I showed you for the inspiration, or you can just use scraps and just play it by ear and go where the wind takes you. But for our color changing yarn options, you can also use one color and 2 different balls started in different places, so you're kind of getting a varied look, or you can use 2 different colors. So if you're going to just use one but maybe move around where you're starting the color, I would go with the Noro Natsumeki in the Higashine or Higashine. I'm not sure exactly how that one's pronounced. And if you're going to go 2 colors, I really liked these 2 Noro Silk Garden colors in the colorway Okazaki or a taru. I thought they were really pretty. I thought they would play really nice together and be really cool. So those are kind of luxe options. For our less expensive options, I found the Universal Yarns Cotton Supreme Waves, and I really liked this black and white option. There's tons of colorful ones, but this one is the colorway 917 Cumulus, and I just thought it was cool. But again, you can also just use whatever yarn you have laying around in that weight and make it from your stash. If you do make it from your stash, you are again gonna have something that like you've made a ton of projects, and maybe you're just using scraps and you're using all of the colors that you already love and that are already in your wardrobe. So those are 5 patterns, 5 completely different vibes. All of them I genuinely want someone to knit because I can't make them all myself, and if you guys do knit them, please make sure to tag me. All of the pattern links and the yarn suggestions will be in the description, and if you are interested, you can also sign up for the newsletter and those links will all get sent as well. Again, I want to remind you, if you are interested in the Firm and Hydrate Trio, to check the link in the description box below and make sure to use my code WestMaven10 for an additional 10% off this already amazingly priced kit. And if we are not yet knitting besties, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and please like this video. It tells YouTube that other fiber enthusiasts like yourself enjoy this type of content. Until next time, make some yarn magic. Bye!